They chose someone else. Now they're watching you glow without them. Have you ever noticed that the person who left you for someone else is suddenly keeping an eye on you, watching your stories, liking your posts, or quietly lurking in the background? It's confusing, right? They made their choice. Yet here they are, still tuned in to your life. This situation stirs up a lot of questions. Do they regret their decision? Are they curious? Or is it just about ego and control? The truth is, being watched by an ex isn't unusual. It's actually a very common psychological pattern after a breakup. And while it might feel validating at first, it also creates emotional confusion and slows down your healing process. In this video, we're going to unpack why exes behave this way, what it really means, and most importantly, how you can protect your peace, heal, and glow without needing their validation. So, why does someone who moved on to another partner still keep watching you? Psychologists and relationship experts say it usually has little to do with you and everything to do with them. Sometimes it's curiosity. They wonder how you're doing without them, especially if you didn't chase after them like they expected. Other times, it's about ego. They want proof that you're still hurting, because that gives them a temporary boost of self-worth. There's also intimacy withdrawal. Breakup cut off that daily closeness and emotional sharing, and watching your updates becomes a small way to stay connected. For some, it's breadcrumbing. Small actions like viewing your stories or liking a post, just enough to keep themselves in your mind, without actually committing to anything. And then there's regret and fear of loss. When the grass is greener, choice doesn't feel so green anymore. Some exes keep tabs on you to reassure themselves they didn't make a mistake, or to prepare themselves in case they did. The important thing to remember here is this. Their watching doesn't automatically mean they want you back. Most of the time, it's just them managing their own insecurities, curiosity, or unresolved feelings. Now let's dig into the psychology behind why exes keep checking your social media. Research shows that 88% of people admit to stalking an ex online after a breakup. Platforms like Instagram and Snapchat even make it obvious when someone views your stories, which turns this behavior into a visible habit. But here's the catch. Staying connected in this way actually prolongs the emotional bond. Studies reveal that people who remain friends online with their ex feel more distress, more longing, and take much longer to move on. In fact, looking at an ex's photos activates the same parts of the brain linked to physical pain. That's why it can hurt so much when you see their updates or when you realize they're watching yours. Another factor is rumination. When someone keeps checking your life, it's often because they can't stop replaying the breakup in their head. Instead of processing the loss, they avoid the pain by keeping tabs on you. The brain is wired to seek closure and comparison, and social media feeds this cycle endlessly, making it harder to detach. The bottom line? This behavior isn't about love, it's about habit, ego, and the brain's craving for answers. And knowing this helps you stop misinterpreting their actions as a sign they want you back. So, what happens when you keep watching them, or when they keep watching you? The risks are bigger than most people realize. First, staying connected prolongs distress. Research shows that it can take years, sometimes up to 8, for emotional bonds with an ex to fully fade. And the biggest predictor of slow healing? Ongoing contact. Second, there's the pain factor. Neuroscience studies reveal that seeing your ex's pictures actually lights up the same brain regions as physical pain. That's why it feels like a punch in the chest when you scroll past them online. Third, it triggers comparison and jealousy. You start wondering who's happier, who's winning, who's moved on faster. This cycle not only damages your mood, but also delays your ability to invest in new relationships. And finally, there's the risk of rumination, getting stuck in the loop of replaying memories and what-if scenarios. This can drain your energy, lower self-esteem, and even spill over into work, health, and friendships. In short, being watched or doing the watching feels validating in the moment, but it quietly traps you in the past. Healing requires breaking that cycle. Gender differences in breakups and rebound patterns. A lot of people assume women struggle more after breakups because they're, too emotional. But research actually paints a very different picture. Men often rely heavily on their partners for emotional support. When a relationship ends, they may feel more destabilized, experiencing stronger sadness, loneliness, and even depression. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to initiate breakups and usually have stronger support networks, friends and family to lean on. That's also why men are statistically more likely to jump into rebound relationships. Rebounds offer distraction, a quick ego boost, and a temporary sense of connection. Women may cope differently, talking through their emotions, grieving openly, and leaning on their circle for comfort. But here's the key insight. Both men and women experience similar declines in well-being after a breakup. The difference lies mostly in coping styles. And in the long run, it's not gender, but continued contact with the ex that slows down detachment. Understanding this helps you reframe your ex's behavior, whether it's watching you online or rushing into a rebound. It's less about you and more about how they're wired to cope. The truth about rebound relationships: benefits and pitfalls. Rebound relationships often get a bad reputation. People assume they're shallow, doomed, or just a way to get back at an ex. But research shows it's not that simple. In fact, studies reveal that people who enter new relationships soon after a breakup often report greater well-being and less attachment to their ex compared to those who stay single. Rebounds can help rebuild confidence, restore a sense of desirability, and even support faster healing if the new connection is genuine and compatible. But here's the caution: motivation matters. If someone jumps into a rebound to avoid pain, prove a point, or stroke their ego, the relationship can become toxic. Instead of growth, it turns into a cycle of avoidance and unresolved issues. Attachment styles play a role too. People with anxious attachment may use rebounds as a quick escape, while those with healthier coping strategies might find them genuinely helpful for self-expansion and emotional recovery. So, rebounds aren't automatically bad. They can be a bridge to healing, but only if entered with honesty, self-awareness, and mutual respect. Now let's talk about the big question. What should you do when your ex keeps watching you from the sidelines? First, don't overinterpret their behavior. Them viewing your stories or liking a post doesn't automatically mean they want you back. More often, it's just curiosity, habit, or a way to soothe their own ego. Second, set boundaries that protect your peace. That might mean unfollowing, muting, or even blocking them if their presence keeps you stuck. Boundaries aren't about revenge. They're about creating the space you need to heal. Third, shift the focus back to you. Instead of analyzing their actions, invest in your own growth, whether that's career goals, fitness, new hobbies, or deepening friendships. Let your glow be authentic, not a performance for their attention. And finally, respond with dignity if they reach out. You don't have to play games or prove anything. Ask yourself, does re-engaging with them serve my healing or pull me back into old wounds? The truth is, your ex's attention is more about their journey than your worth. Your job is to keep moving forward, not looking back. So how do you move from confusion and pain to healing and truly glowing without them? Research gives us some clear strategies. First, acknowledge and process your emotions. Don't bottle things up or rush into distractions. Allow yourself to grieve, cry, journal, or talk it out with someone you trust. Healing isn't linear, and giving yourself permission to feel is part of the process. Second, set firm boundaries. No contact isn't about manipulation. It's about self-care. Unfollow them, mute their updates, and remove physical reminders like photos or gifts. This helps cut the constant triggers that reopen wounds. Third, lean on healthy support networks. Friends, family, and community give you perspective and comfort. For men especially, expanding emotional support beyond a partner can make a huge difference in recovery. Fourth, rebuild your identity. Breakups often shake up your sense of self. Rediscover old hobbies, try new experiences, and set personal goals that remind you who you are outside of the relationship. Fifth, practice mindfulness and gratitude. Techniques like meditation, journaling, and daily gratitude can quiet rumination and bring your focus back to the present. And if the pain feels overwhelming, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A therapist can guide you through deeper issues like attachment patterns, helping you avoid repeating the same cycles in future relationships. Remember, healing isn't just about moving past them. It's about becoming a stronger, healthier version of yourself. So, what's the real message when your ex keeps watching you from afar? The truth is, it's not about you, it's about them. Their curiosity, their regret, their ego, or even their boredom often drives this behavior. It doesn't mean they truly want to come back, and it certainly doesn't define your value. What it does show is that your growth, your glow, and your resilience are visible even to the ones who chose to leave. And that in itself is powerful. The key takeaway here is simple. Don't mistake their watching as a sign to reopen old wounds. Instead, take it as proof that you're moving forward, while they're still stuck looking back. Your healing, your happiness, and your future are too important to waste on interpreting their silent glances. At the end of the day, their choice to leave says more about them than it ever will about you. And their decision to keep watching you from a distance, that's their story, not yours. Your story is about how you rise, how you take heartbreak and turn it into self-discovery, how you rebuild your confidence, nurture your well-being, and step into a stronger version of yourself. The greatest victory isn't winning them back or proving anything to them. It's creating a life so fulfilling, you no longer care who's watching. So, if they chose someone else and now they're quietly watching you glow, let them watch. But don't let it slow you down. Keep moving, keep growing, and keep shining, because your glow isn't for them, it's for you. Want more content like this? Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.